Hey there, welcome to saas.unbound podcast. I'm your host, I'm Dana, head of growth at SaaS Group, a serial acquirer buying wonderful SaaS businesses to take them to the next level. Here I chat with inspiring founders and experts to get an inside scoop on how they made their business a success. And today, super happy to see Vlad Gozman with me here, co-founder of Involve Me, on a mission to enable marketing and sales teams from SMBs and enterprise companies to improve their customer experience and gather better customer data. And I have to mention a former rapper. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
My first idea was like, when I say that, I will blast your song, but
Thank you for
I'll
not
just
doing it.
link it. I'll just link it below in the comments. All right, but like I said, super happy to see you here. So, yeah, before we go, deeper into the journey, could you maybe talk a little bit about your background and the inspiration behind the company?
Sure. I don't want to start too far back, but I think we discussed a bit about that beforehand. My first entrepreneurial experience, or what I consider to be my first entrepreneurial experience, was producing, writing, and publishing a rap album on my own, like in an independent label fashion, with a few friends back in my late teens to my early 20s. So yeah, that was quite a ride. It was also my first touch point with digital, like setting up the online store for it and promoting it. That was back in Romania in early 2000s. So quite some time has passed. Along the road, I had a few touch points with different entrepreneurial experiences. And I moved to Vienna, Austria in 2010 from Romania. So I relocated. And here I searched for the upcoming burgeoning startup scene, found sort of the right people, and together with some of them, I co-founded a few companies. Some of them miserably failed, but some of them were quite successful. All of them were in the SaaS area, more or less. A notable success was a company called Adverity, which is a scale up now. It's VC backed. I was there in its early days, being the product guy and co-CEO of it for 2 years. After a part exit from it, I started on a new venture. This was early 2017. It's also quite a while back, and it was something completely different than Involve Me. It was we started out as a CMS for virtual reality applications. Yeah, I see you. I see you nodding your head in
Okay.
disbelief. Obviously, we're not doing that anymore. But we prototyped something and tried it out. The market wasn't really not there at that time. It's still not there. I believe for a really monetizable SaaS product in that area. Just too many unknowns. The market didn't develop into the hype. But while doing it, one of my co-founders, he had an agency, a digital boutique agency, and for some of the customers that he had, we started sort of building out these landing pages and embeddable content pieces for them to interact with their customers better, get some data in the process. They had a lot of quiz features to them, and out of it grew what today has become Involve Me. I think it was a great testing bed because we were kind of forced to monetize somehow, and we did it in an agency fashion. But then talking to the customers, we found pretty quickly that there might be a SaaS product out there. And, you know, we asked them the usual, like, hey, couldn't we just take off the shelf Typeform and just build something for you with that? And yeah, we found out that they're lacking some essential things and features, and that validated the idea of, okay, there might be something there in this relatively crowded market.
Right. Yeah. Super cool. And like you said, it was relatively crowded back then already. So
Already, yeah.
that was a very bold move to try and build something completely different or differentiate yourself from what's already on the market. So what is the problem that you're solving? I mean, I know that your
Hmm.
kind of big message is that you're a no code builder. So, how
Hmm.
important was this message in acquiring the first customers?
Hmm.
Because, as you said, you started as an agency, right? So, I would assume you were doing this for your clients, right? How important was giving that freedom to your client to build something on their own?
Sure. So maybe to take two steps back and sort of position involve me. So w- what we're basically on a mission to make it as easy as possible for businesses to involve their customers in meaningful digital interactions. And within these digital interactions, in the best case scenario, they can gather valuable zero party data and know who their customers are better so they can serve them better. And to achieve this, we leverage no code, as you said, and AI to simplify and automate the creation, personalization, and automation of forms, surveys, quizzes, and the likes for businesses. Now, the people who use our tool are usually marketers and sales teams from SMBs, and for them, automating as much as possible and having the least amount of development time spent on it is essential. They not only want to get to market fast, they also want to have constant iterations. So we save them time, we save them cost, and hopefully we can also create something better than they would have with a custom solution.
Okay, that's wonderful. I think, I mean, being a marketer, honestly, anything that you can do without involving a developer is great because, like you said, it's saving so much time and it's giving you a lot of freedom and like moving along with whatever you're doing with testing, whatever
Mm.
you're testing. So I think that's a great thing to do.
Yeah, so I mean, I think that the two you said it in the beginning, right? It was already back then a relatively crowded market, and looking at today, it's even more so. So for us, across the journey, it was important to pinpoint not only our ICP, but also like how we differentiate in this market and where do we provide the most value, because obviously Involve Me can be used across different touch points in the customer journey. And I think I want to highlight just two of our sort of main differentiators. We looked at this customer journey and we focused primarily on the beginning. So lead generation and qualification is where we develop the product and the features more towards, even from the beginning. So we have features within Involve Me that enable you to do scoring of leads, to do verification and the likes, do custom paths. So you can create content pieces like product recommenders, product finders, custom price quotes. And this enables you to automate this inbound sales process, this in lead generation and qualification process. So that's sort of on the one side, and then secondly, we looked at emerging trends, and obviously we didn't do that in the beginning. We launched it in early 2019, but over the last two and a half years, we saw AI as this big opportunity. So even before it got really into consumer space with ChatGPT. So before that, the APIs of GPT-3 were available, so we started playing with it, and we looked at generative AI and how we could integrate it across some value areas within the product, and we identified three. at the creation stage, at the personalization stage, and then later at the analysis, where we integrated AI features and we sort of made our tool AI powered. So I think these are the two things where we sort of differentiate, and also the why customers sort of start with Involve Me, and then once this works for them, they sort of expand the usage of the tool in other touch points, stuff like net promoter score, measuring customer satisfaction, for instance, or creating onboarding surveys and onboarding flows, as two examples. Yeah.
That's fascinating. So when the AI wave hit, you were like, been there. You were like, we were the first. That's great. Okay, so what do you think? Is AI, now again adding something to Involve Me in terms of like messaging? When people, have you noticed anything, since that trend has become so big, that people are, coming to Involve Me more because of that? And like, or has AI, the fact that you're powered by AI, changed your customer acquisition or customer interaction in any way?
Yeah, great questions. So I think you can look at it in two ways. One, obviously, you piggyback a bit on the hype, so it definitely delivers eyeballs, but that's only part of the story, and it's actually the less interesting one. I think in terms of acquisition, yes, it can help to be AI powered, but it's also not necessarily clear how that is in the beginning. So where we see the more interesting part is actually if you can leverage AI to really speed up a process, automate a process, or really deliver business value at the end of the day. So let's break it down maybe systematically. On the first part, delivering eyeballs, getting new users into Involve Me, right? We've created a way to automate the generation of forms and surveys, right? You just type in a URL and it takes all your brand assets. You give it a description of what you want to do with either your form, survey, and the likes, and then it generates variations of really finished forms, surveys, quizzes that you can take and run with. Obviously, you can edit them, and in a lot of cases, you should. But it saves hours of work. So that's a pretty enticing value prop. So that is, I would say, enough to get people into the tool and see, okay, does this work for me? Now, in terms of delivering real business value later on, I think we singled out two areas. One is the personalization. So within Involve Me, you can use an AI generated text element where basically it enables you to deliver personalized feedback and responses to each individual user according to what feedback and responses they give in a flow. And the last but not least, once you have form surveys running, you have data in the back. We looked at how can we use AI to automate insights, basically. So we created an AI-based automated report that looks at the data, sifts through it, summarizes it, picks out key findings, showcases them to you, gives you maybe also recommendations on your use case and next steps. And it does that again in a few seconds, and you can download it as a PDF. So all of these put together deliver like a package where we say it's not a gimmick. It's something that we can see real value delivered to our customers. So the things that we've built are not simple wrappers around another AI API. there are some workflows behind that. That there's some pre-processing of data that we do. There are several APIs that we use, and in conjunction with each other. And yes, it's tied to cost. But what we've done is we've created a way to monetize that. So it's not only included in plans. When you start using it at scale, you have to purchase AI credits. So it's kind of usage based. So we can actually really quickly see, is that something that people use? And is that something that people purchase then as an add-on in their plans? And the answer is yes. The answer is yes. It's been on a ramp-up phase, and the ones that I would say actually discovered it, they are using it, they're purchasing add-ons, and it delivers value to them.
That's fascinating. That was actually my question. Thank you for elaborating. Because yeah, AI. I mean, it's the hype, it's the trend. Everyone wants it, but there is a cost. There is a very clear cost to it, and a lot of companies don't understand how fast it compounds. So my question actually was, since you introduced AI to the platform to your customers, how did you price that? Because pricing
Mhm.
AI is a bit of a challenge. I mean, pricing is a challenge overall, right? But pricing AI solutions, I mean, there hasn't been data, there hasn't been a lot of like use cases, especially successful ones. So, how do founders, like, what founders do you rely on? Um,
Mhm.
so in your case, how did you come up with this like usage-based pricing and the credits? What tipped you off that this is going to be something that would work for you?
Yeah, that's a great question. And yeah, I think pricing is an ongoing thing for founders, and it's never completely solved. And we all should think about pricing more and experiment more, but it's hard in practice. I mean, every operator knows that it's nice to talk about a lot of A/B testing and price changes periodically, but it's tied and associated to so many additional dependencies and costs and opportunity costs and so forth. So actually for us, it was great to have this opportunity open up because we immediately thought of it as this can be an add-on. So Involve Me is a subscription-based business. We're freemium, so you can start for free, use it for personal projects for free, and then you scale with your usage. And then the plans offer obviously extended features, but also a certain amount of usage within each plan. Um, so it's not usage based in the sense, right? It's not as you pay only for what you use, but you pay for a certain amount of usage. And if you hit that, great. If not, you're still in that plan. Now, in terms of looking at AI, we looked at how the AI model providers price it, right? So how are we getting charged, and how can we make a fair but still a profitable solution to pass that cost on to our customers, but only if it's successful and if it's used. So what we did is we created our own billing for it. So we created an AI credit system. So you can within each of your subscription plans, there are already some AI credits, so you can already start to see it in action and see if it provides value to you without additional cost. So there sort of is a baseline, and then for those who find value in it and they start using it, obviously the cost compound as you mentioned, and then they hit that ceiling for their plan, and they can purchase add-ons. And these add-ons are basically credit packages that they can use throughout the lifetime. They're not tied then to their monthly subscription. They're more in control. So we pass on the cost with a certain margin, and it's in a, I would say, fair and usage-based way. When you see the value, you can purchase your credit add-ons.
Okay, I think that's really smart. Yeah, I haven't heard about other companies doing that, like introducing AI credits as an add-on in the SaaS. I should do my research. Anyway, thanks for elaborating. When I did the intro and like when I went to your website, it said you are solving this problem for SMBs and enterprise customers, right? But at the same time, you're talking about freemium. You're talking about mostly serving other SaaS companies and kind of sensing PLG here. And I also know that you don't have a sales team.
Mhm.
So, how does it work with enterprises? Did you crack the code how to make enterprises buy with a credit card? Or is there actually some kind of sales motion that you have in the company that works with enterprises?
Yeah, great question. So, to where to pick up on this, I think there are several aspects of it. On the one side, yes, so we're freemium. We have a product-led growth motion in place. It's tied to a self-service way of using the tool, a self-service onboarding, if you will. Now, that makes everything have relatively low friction. It's a scalable setup that basically it led us to achieve profitability fast because we it was not tied to, as you said, a sales team. We say SMB and enterprise. Yes, we have a few enterprise customers, and we're moving more and more mid-market, but the bulk of our customers are still SMBs. So we have a few thousand customers. The lion's share of them onboard themselves. Of course, we have customer support, but they use it in a self-service manner. Now, the few enterprise customers that we identified them pretty early on, and we have a sort of a mechanism in place that is not perfect by any stretch, but I'm happy to share what we do, and we're constantly improving on it as we speak. So it might be interesting to say that we use Involve Me within Involve Me wherever we can. So the old adage, eating your own dog food, it helps us obviously know the tool better as users ourselves within our own use cases and improve it over time. But it also really brings value to our processes. So one way where we use it in this context is once you register, we do a short onboarding flow, and that onboarding survey is built with Involve Me and constantly iterated on and improved. And we ask a few questions in that flow, and basically we find out about the profile. We enrich that data with some external sources. And at the end, we will drive you towards the best path for your use cases and for your industry, showcasing you the templates that would fit, so you can really get going fast and realize if Involve Me is the right fit. With that data, we kind of know, right? Are you now in what bucket are you? And if you're in that enterprisey bucket, then a process is kickstarted in customer success. So within our customer support team, we have customer success, and we after a certain given time, we look at their projects and what they started, and we start to reach out, also automated, but with some personalization in it according to their use case and what they started doing. And that is the way we sort of activate these type of customers. You've hinted at the fact that enterprises, they usually don't take out their credit card and try out the product. Yes, they don't. So what happens is they have needs like going through a security review, looking at and holding. And how we handle that is, so we don't have a sales team in place, but with the customer success team, and we pinpoint the select few potential customers that where it makes sense. With some of them, we have an onboarding call, and from that on, it becomes a rarefied area. So there are just a few sort of that go down the path, and some of them we've been able to convert to paying customers even without a sales team in motion, in a sales team in place or a sales motion. Yeah.
Okay, that's nice. That's great. I mean, you started talking about the way you onboard people, and in no way I'm like comparing you guys, but I did interview with Adi Tang, the co-founder of Jotform, so also in your space, right? And what he
Yes.
was talking about is exactly that, like just not showing, not just throwing your customer user in the pool of all the features and all the forms and everything that you have inside, but kind of slowly just driving them towards that feature that would bring the aha moment, to to figure out as fast as they can if that's the tool for them. Because if you showed like the entire depth of the product right away, it's just confusing, and I can second every word there. So I think that's a great way to go. All right. So I have a few more questions that I really, really wanted to ask, because I learned that at some point you've used lifetime deals. Also a fascinating topic. A lot of people have some horror stories to share. But
Mm.
how do it work for you at first? Like, how did you decide that this is the way to go? Because you started in 2019. And I mean, a lot of founders, again, on the podcast who started in 2019, 2020, said back then it wasn't even a question doing bootstrapped or VC funded, because like the money was just out there, you just had to take
Mhm.
it. You went the other way. Um, so, yeah, how did you end up with LTDs? Were there any challenges? And obviously, the most important question, um, did any of the customers that purchased the LTD convert into MRR?
Okay, great questions, and I think very important to talk about these things also for other founders looking into doing something similar. So I'm happy to share. Maybe to give some context. So I mentioned before, previously to starting what has become Involve Me, and previously to going prototype the route of prototyping the VR CMS that failed. I was one of the co-founders of Adverity, which is an enterprise focused SaaS in the data analytics space, reporting ETL for marketing data. I've seen it over the years, also from the sidelines after exiting. It went the VC route, right? So it's raised over 120 million, hundreds of employees, internationalized, and so forth. So I've got a sense of what that means. And when starting Involve Me, or at the point where we saw, okay, there might be a SaaS product here. The company was already in place for the VR CMS. So, but when we decided, okay, we pivot and we move all resources here, and we're stopping this agency thing and go all in on SaaS, is where I started to sort of think about the road ahead. And I think my thought process went, um, is this a 10 million or is this a 100 million business? What I did in the process, since Vienna, for better or worse, is a village. I can knock on a lot of doors, and they open, and I can have honest talks with some very experienced founders and VCs. So I did that, and I got a sense of how they see it. Going forward, and with the advice that I got and sort of my own thinking, I decided that that the best way to go about it is, and the most healthy way to go about it from a financial perspective, is to bootstrap it. Now, To be fair, we did a small angel round, but it was more out of validating again the trajectory and the business idea, and it was a friendly angel round, so people we knew from the scene. We also still hold the vast majority of the shares in the company, giving us full autonomy, and also the angels were never really operatively involved. So we financed it a bit with that. We financed it with our own money, but to really kickstart it, we still needed more. And we had a few customers from like the agency customers that we converted into subscription customers or SaaS customers. We had some money in the bank, but really to go all in, we and really invest time in developing features and sort of bringing it up to speed. We needed more money, and we decided not to go the VC route. And we looked for alternative financing. And so it was a deliberate decision not to do VC. And then it was a deliberate decision to search for something else. And the LTD route was something that we saw happening at that time in 2017, 2018, and going into 2019. And there are some platforms like AppSumo, obviously, I think is the main one. And our thinking was looking at it and sort of trying to analyze how this works, also talking to a few companies that had done lifetime deals on platforms. I think we got a sense of, okay, there is a slight chance that some of these companies just stay lifetime deal companies forever. Like they get trapped in this loop of, okay, you offer it once for free and then you just keep on offering everything for one payment. We definitely were weary of that, so we wanted to stay do our best to not become that. And we knew why we want to do it. So we wanted like cash infusion at once. We knew that, or our expectation was that most of these lifetime deal customers will not necessarily convert into MRR, but will give us the enough cash infusion to not do any institutional financing. And what we did is we found a closed group that was a few thousand people. And it was a group. They had a group on Facebook, a closed group, and they had a few channels. And we got into that group and did a lifetime deal with far better conditions as well than on platforms. So us getting the lion's share of the lifetime deal and not the platform. And it was very clear how many people will have access to it, how our sort of reputation will be managed, and so forth. And that worked out very well for us, I would say. And it had one additional added benefit: the fact that a percentage of these lifetime deal buyers were extremely invested in our success. So we had, I would say, the best type of customer. Even though they were not recurring, they gave, and to this day still give, amazing product feedback. So it helped us twofold, I would say. It helped us finance the early development, get to profitability pretty fast, also pick the right features, and helped us with roadmap.
Interesting. This is not the first story when a founder says, we didn't go with AppSumo or any other platform. We just chose like a smaller group just to make sure we keep, the tabs on like how many people are involved and like how many lifetime deals we're selling.
Mm.
Because, like you said, if you maybe open this to like an enormous pool of potential customers, buyers, then yeah, there could be some repercussions. So yeah, really
Yeah,
smart.
I think it comes with some reputation attached to it, right? So then it you have then the lifetime deal branding a bit attached to you, and of course you can shake it off, and you should. I mean, we're in it for building recurring revenue businesses. That's the appeal of SaaS. Yeah, I think when trying to do this, my advice would be, and this is what we try to do, is to be very deliberate of why we do it, what we want to achieve with it, and then really get going and start to focus on recurring revenue and building up MRR, and that's what we did. I think the percentage of, I couldn't give you an exact percentage, but if you convert it into MRR, but like in the beginning, definitely few, but over time we started adding new things. Like I told you, the AI features are add-ons that you need to purchase, right? So they're usage based, there is an associated cost to them. It's clear to everyone that there is an associated cost to them, so you don't have to really make the case for it. It's pretty clear. So I think that side of things started working for us also in this kind of customer group. Yeah.
Okay, so you could use some expansion MRR to really boost your growth. That's great. All right, so just a couple more questions because you mentioned that Vienna is a village and you raised a small angel round, and I won't name any names, but I know some of your angel investors, and they also have successful companies. They're very prominent members of SaaS industry. I don't know. Some say you cannot call SaaS an industry. I will anyway. How to, if that's even a concern for you or even a question of any kind, how do you navigate? Maybe not them being involved operationally, but still, there is maybe a little bit of pressure of their success, or a little bit of pressure of a piece of advice that they're giving, like how to navigate your roadmap and your vision of the product and the company and the culture that you're building with potentially the opinion of your angel investors.
That's a great question, and something that I think every founder asks themselves if they're in this position. So to reiterate, in our case, it's a friendly angels round where they have not been actively involved in operative decision making. Nonetheless, I took it, I would say, extreme care and respect for their commitment and for their trust that they gave along with their financing in us as founders. So to honor that, we sort of implemented some processes where they get updated periodically on our progress, even though they don't actively request it. I think it was, at least in the beginning when kickstarting it, it was a great exercise because it gives you as a founder also the opportunity to take a step back and put all the thoughts in place for that, in the operative hustle and bustle of the day to day, you maybe get too much lost in the details. It's a good exercise periodically, whether it's quarterly or even if it's once a year, to do like an overview. Where do we stand? How have we hit our goals? What are our future goals? OKRs, all of these things. And if you have to do it or if you, I imposed it on myself, to be frank. So it's not something that anybody requested. I knew it comes with a certain sense of responsibility when somebody entrusts any amount of money to me. So I respect that, and I also see it as an opportunity for me to get something out of it in terms of structuring my ideas and my goals. So that's how I go about it.
Absolutely. Yeah, great. No, I mean, I think if you're in this, financial relationship with your investor or like a potential acquirer, even, I think it's important to, yeah, like you said, I think it's a great point to just impose it on yourself and just make sure that you're clear with your vision, with your goals, and you're like keeping tabs on it. But it's also about honoring the relationships that you have and just actively contributing to them and like making sure that everyone's on the same page, how everything's going. So I think that's a great point. All right, so two more questions, the usual ones, the ones that we absolutely love here on the podcast. Um, what so far has been the biggest win and the biggest failure?
Oh man, when it comes to failures, it's hard to pick because there are like a lot of them, obviously, along the way.
And you're getting a
Um,
journal and like,
yeah, just like let's see, where should we start? I won't get into the trauma, but I would. So I'll focus it not on my journey, but on Involve Me's journey, just to set the stage for this. And so let's start with a failure. So if I would pick one of the biggest failures at the beginning is we started developing the product horizontally, and I think it could have killed us in hindsight. It didn't, luckily. What I mean by that is when I look at Involve Me now, yeah, you can implement it across the customer journey. So it's very, very horizontal. There's tons of use cases that you can do for it. Now, in the beginning, I mentioned that the main use case for it is lead gen, so at the beginning of the funnel, if you will. But that was not clear in the beginning. So we did a lot of horizontal development, catering to too many use cases and not solving one particular really well. And I think there is this old saying that there's a lot of truth to it. That there's riches and niches. So I would say we should have picked it sooner, as it would have enabled us to hit product market fit sooner. Today, now it is more of a benefit as we're in a good place, we're growing, we're profitable, and we cover a lot of big feature surface areas. So that helps with expansion, stuff that we mentioned before. So yeah, I think that was the biggest failure in the beginning. It turned out now well, and it's kind of a benefit
then it's a
nowadays.
learning.
But it's definitely a learning, and you should not take that risk. Um, the biggest win. So when we started, PLG was not a term. At least not a term that I was aware of, and it was definitely not thrown around like it is today on LinkedIn and the likes. But what we did really well is that we went global from day one. It was a very deliberate decision. Not although we had these development customers, if you will, from the agency activity that we turned into SaaS customers, they were local or DACH region, so German speaking area. But then we really quickly tried the US market. So we went global from day one, and we did it with the PLG self-service motion. I think the decision to do that, and we took money and we did what I think a lot of people recommend not doing, or we invested in paid ads, and we went on paid search to see if we can crack a few keyword categories, and luckily we did. So that enabled us to really try out a lot of different markets with this self-service motion in place. It was low friction. It was a scalable setup that basically led us to achieve profitability fast. And as I said, without really the need for institutional money. So
That's
yeah, there you
great.
have it.
I think you're only the second founder that said, hey, nothing bad about Google Ads. It actually gives you a really fast validation from real people. Um, yeah, of course it is expensive, but once you kind of nail that, where's the money spent and how you're making up for it.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, this validation cycle, this feedback cycle that you get to it on that scale is really unparalleled, and especially for us. I told you, I think the win and fail tie together because we had a horizontal product, and Google search enabled us to really get quick feedback if it really ties into the needs of the masses. There is a caveat to it, right? A paid search is expensive, and although it is kind of predictable, it gets less predictable over time because also the cost is just constantly growing. So also for us, it was very good to do that in the beginning, but then quickly we also expanded, and it's definitely not the main channel for us. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, thanks for the details. All right, so the last question is the hack. So is there any hack that helps you grow the company? I know that you're a small team, and you went global right away. You have amazing angel investors. What helps you do all that successfully? Is there any hack that you could share?
There are quite a few. There are quite a few. I mean, there is that time when we broke Product Hunt, but I don't think it's possible anymore because we did it so much that they changed their terms and don't allow for it anymore. So what we did is when we launched Involve Me, we obviously used Product Hunt as so many others do, but we did it very strategically and planned a launch for it and leveraged also the LTD community to sort of push everything up. And we managed to do first product of the day. So we got tons of eyeballs, a lot of traffic, and so forth. And a hack that we did then for the next 12 months is that for every major new product development and release that was sort of opening up a bit of a new area, we packaged it as a new product hunt launch. So basically, we packaged it as a new product. Even though it was sort of a feature within Involve Me, we put out a standalone landing page for it and sort of described that use case as a standalone product. One example might be, you can use Involve Me to accept payments. We have 5 different payment gateways that you can connect within Involve Me and use the forms to accept payments. And you can create these product finders and then tie them to actual sales. So you can create sales funnels with Involve Me. So what we did is out of this, we actually had 3 releases. One was a sales funnel builder. The other one was accepting payments in forms or forms with payments acceptance. And the third was accepting subscriptions. And we did quite a few of these. So if you look at on my profile on Product Hunt, you'll find that I launched tons of products. Actually, most of them are Involve Me. And it worked for getting traffic and eyeballs on Involve Me, up to a point where somebody from Product Hunt reached out to us with sort of a cease and desist email, and they also changed their terms. so they prohibit this hack. I think it's still perfectly valid to, if you do like major releases, to do another Product Hunt release, but yeah, not for features that are packaged as products.
Right. Okay. But I think now it could be even easier because like now you can I think before like a year ago, a couple of years ago, you could only like post a new product like once in 6 months, and now it's basically like you can do it like every day if you
So
want
they,
to.
they they apparently they changed it then, but the 6 months thing that came after we did
Oh
this
no,
hack
you
basically.
so you did actually break Product Hunt. It's down, people. You know who to blame.
Oh
Okay, that's
no.
interesting.
I
But
mean,
that's so fascinating.
a more, sorry to interrupt you, but a more actionable hack, I think for us, another strategy that worked well is native integrations. So within Involve Me, we started off with Zapier and offer it, of course, to this day. Zapier offers tons of flexibility, and it developed over time really, really well. But what we also did is we started doing native integrations to the most used tools to sort of spare another cost for our customers. And this is a strategy that has worked very well for us, as we have now around, I can't say the exact number. I'm not sure when this comes out, but we'll have definitely over 35 native integrations, to all the marketing and sales stack the CRMs, the Salesforces, HubSpots, the marketing automation tools like ActiveCampaign and Klaviyo. And this also opened for us new acquisition channels, I would say, because we're present on the marketplaces of these tools. We're discoverable within those tools. So I think that is also a nice strategy. Not sure if it's a hack, but it's a long-term strategy, I would
Yeah.
say.
But yeah, it's a very valid strategy. Thank you for sharing it. All right. Well, so much stuff that you shared today. It was really great. I mean, I really loved learning about your journey, and fascinated to see what you're going to do this year. Um, so yeah, happy to do it again sometime. And yeah, thank you so much for being here.
Hannah, thanks for having me. It's been a pleasure, and happy to come back in a while and talk more.
Yeah, thank you, and take care.